Everyone, thank you for joining us this morning. I would like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearings of May 13, 2021. Mr. Liming, if you could do a roll call for me, please.
Representative from Public Works, please announce yourself.
Rajai Singh.
Property Management Department.
Robert Melvin, present.
Transportation Department.
Amy Gordon.
Inspectional Services Department.
Brian Ronan.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Denise Devlin, present.
Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
Sarah Leung.
All present.
Thank you, Mr. Liming. First order of business, hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of minutes of PIC hearings held on April 29th of 2021. Like to hear a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the April 29th PIC hearing.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. The next segment of our agenda, public hearings continued. First item, on a petition by Dorchester Michaels LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Freeport Street, a public way, Dorchester, located on its easterly side at the site of 780 William T. Morrissey Boulevard, generally northeast of Morrissey Boulevard. This was brought under new business on April 15. First public hearing was held on April 29th. As shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Freeport Street, Boston, Dorchester, one sheet dated April 27, 2021.
Good morning, Steve Marano from Bowler here representing Dorchester Michaels LLC. I'm requesting an additional continuance on this matter. Our tree hearing has been scheduled out to June 3rd, so I'm requesting a continuance to the June 10th hearing, so we have time to conclude the tree process.
Steve, just want to make sure that the information from the tree hearing can be submitted to Mr. Liming, because I understand Mr. Liming requires the packages to be all set in place the Friday before. So are you confident that you can get all the necessary information in its board format to Mr. Liming by that Friday?
I believe so. The tree warden has gone out and reviewed the application and is at least on his perspective, he agrees with the proposal. So we're hopeful that we get a positive hearing and it's not impactful to the drawings and the proposal in front of the Public Improvement Commission.
Excellent. That being said, I'd like to hear a motion to continue public hearing, continued item number 1 to our June 10th hearing date.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing continued item number 1 is read into the record by the chair to June 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstained? Motion passes. Next item, public hearing continued item number 2 on a petition by Dorchester Michaels LLC for the making of specific repairs within Freeport Street Public Way, Dorchester, located on its easterly side at the site of 780 William T. Morrissey Boulevard, generally northeast of Morrissey Boulevard, and consisting of curb realignment, sidewalks, and roadway reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, landscaping, and driving curb cuts. This was introduced under new business on April 15th of this year. First public hearing was on April 29th. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plans, 780 William T. Morrissey Boulevard, Freeport Street, Dorchester, 2 sheets dated February 12, 2021. Steve.
Yeah, good morning again, Steve Materano with Bowler on behalf of Dorchester Michaels LLC, also requesting a continuance on this matter to the June 10th hearing so we can conclude the scheduled June 3rd tree hearing.
Thank you, Steve. Like to hear a motion to continue this public hearing for 4 weeks to be effective on June 10th.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing continued item number 2 until the June 10th hearing.
Second. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Thank you, Steve. We'll see you in a month.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Continuing to the public hearing segment of our today's agenda, public hearing number 1 on a joint petition by the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, the City of Boston Transportation Department, and the City of Boston Public Works Department for making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalks, and driveway curb cut reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street lights, storm drain infrastructure, and raised sidewalks. Columbus Ave, generally between Cleve Street and Emery Street, Dixwell Street, southwest of Columbus Ave, Wells Street, southwest of Columbus Avenue, West Walnut Park, southeast of Columbus Ave, Bragnon Street at Columbus Ave, Academy Road, east of Columbus Ave, Emery Street, west of Columbus Ave. All of this this was brought under new business on April 29, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, Columbus Ave, Boston, 7 sheets dated April 29, 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the Commission. I'm William Moose from the Boston Transportation Department. I'll be speaking on behalf of this project. I'm joined by Valerie Chia from Howard Stein Hudson, and also Eric Shire from the MBTA. Just as a quick reminder, this is part of the ongoing work to improve transit services along Columbus Ave through the bus priority corridor, and along with the bus platforms and other transit measures that have already been are already under construction. We're also making an effort to bring all of the ADA ramps along the corridor into ADA compliance, and make pedestrian safety improvements wherever we can as well. And so these locations, we saw them at new business. The plans have not changed since that time, but I'm happy to go through them again if that would be helpful.
Yes, William, since this is the public hearing and since these things are on tape, if you could go through them.
Yep, absolutely. So the first location here is at Cleve Street. This is so generally anywhere we have a minor intersection with non-compliant ramps, we're showing a raised crosswalk being constructed. So minor intersection that's not signalized, I should say. And so the first one is Cleve Street. We're showing at this location some curb extensions at this street to slow turning vehicles and improve visibility at this turn, and also to help us make the grades work better at this location and get a better alignment of this crossing. So that's the first raised crosswalk is at Cleve Street. Going north on the corridor, sort of towards Jackson Square, the next street is, I think actually, can we go back? There is Dixwell Street, which you're seeing here. Dixwell Street does not have any curb extensions. We're keeping the curb line as they are today, but we are proposing to add a raised crosswalk at that location with the necessary adjustments to drainage and any other utilities at this and all locations. So moving along, we also have the next intersection, which is Weld Avenue, another minor neighborhood street that we're proposing to add a raised crosswalk to. And then continuing northbound on the east side of Columbus Avenue. Oh, sorry, if you could go back, Valerie. Thank you. On the east side of Columbus Avenue at West Walnut Park, we're also proposing, as part of the reconstructed ramps, a raised crosswalk at that location. So then moving on from there, the next location is at Academy Road. Here again is a location where we're proposing curb extensions along with the raised crosswalk. There's on-street parking along this portion of the corridor, and so there was already no parking up to the corner. So we're sort of formalizing that through these curb extensions. And again, to slow turning vehicles and improve visibility, dramatically shorten the distance of this crossing, which is very, very long today, and reworking the radii of these corners, as well as adding the raised crosswalk to make this a significantly safer location. And on the final non-signalized location where we're adding a raised crosswalk is Amory Street. And this location, the curb lines are again staying the same, with the exception of some sort of slight tightening of the corners there, again to slow turning vehicles to more appropriate speeds. But those are all of the unsignalized locations and all of the raised crosswalk locations. I can pause there if there's any questions. We do have one more intersection at a signalized intersection or I can continue and we can take all questions at the end if that's preferable. Okay.
William, if you could continue.
Sure. So the final location is at Bragdon Street. And at this location, we worked closely with the Boston Fire Department because sort of at the bottom of the page there, you can see the location of the Engine 42, which is currently under construction. And so we worked closely with the fire department to find sort of the optimal means of getting pedestrians safely across Bragdon Street and across the apron of the future fire department here, or the fire station rather. And at this location, as it is a signalized location, none of these crossings are proposed to be raised crossings. They are all conventional ramps, ramping down to the grade of the street. But we are adding pedestrian signals on all these minor streets that are lacking those today. So Bragdon Street does not have appropriate pedestrian signalization today. So we're adding that along with reconstructing these ramps, and that sort of page right, the crosswalk across Columbus Avenue, that is a new crosswalk. There was previously a marked crosswalk at the location, but there were no ramps and there was no break in the median. So it was completely inaccessible. So we are now remedying that situation with a new accessible crosswalk with all the appropriate signalization at this location. So that concludes the extent of the project, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, William. One tiny comment. The raised crosswalk at Amory Street and Columbus Ave, I know there's a fair amount of, I don't want to say cut-through traffic, even though it is cut-through traffic that heads from this zone all the way to, part south. They want to avoid the intersection of Washington and Columbus Ave, so they cut through here. Mm-hmm. So just respecting the volume of traffic that actually makes that right turn and goes down Amory Street, if appropriate signage can be there just to alert the drivers that you are going to hit a race crosswalk over there. So that's all I have. Any additional comments by fellow commission members?
Good morning, William. How are you?
Nice.
I just wanted to follow up. I know you sent an email last night and said you were going to incorporate our comments into the construction drawing. So thanks for getting back to us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll make sure that all those are incorporated, and we'll send them back to you for any final comments or yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Any additional comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Mr. Liming, are there any comments by PIC staff and all the members of our audience today?
None.
That being said, I get a motion regarding public hearing number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by the MBTA and the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in Columbus Ave, Dixwell Street, Weld Ave, West Walnut Park, Bragdon Street, Academy Road, Amory Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Go ahead, second.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Moose. You do fantastic work as always, and a great team. Next item on the agenda, public hearing number 2 on a petition by Seaport L5 title holder LLC for the acceptance of pedestrian easements adjacent to Boston Wharf Road, a public way, South Boston, located on its southeasterly side at addresses number 1 through 27 and generally northeast of Congress Street. This was brought under new business on April 29th as shown on plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Boston Wharf Road, parcels L3 and L5, Seaport District 1 through 27, Boston Wharf Road, South Boston, one sheet dated April 20th, 2021. Good morning, Amy.
Morning.
Hi.
Go ahead,
Good
Jody.
morning, members of the commission. My name is Jody Sanchez from Wilson Stores. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Seaport L5 title holder, the owner of Block L5, as well as Seaport Square Development Company, the master developer of the Seaport Square project. I'm joined today by Amy Green from WS Development and Will Schrieffer from Niche Engineering. Amy will walk through the project and we'll walk through the plans. The application before you includes actions relating to the Block L5 project, which, as you've noted, is located just north of Congress Street between Boston Wharf Road and a future pedestrian way called Herber Way. The project is for an 18-story mixed-use building containing office and retail uses, as well as a state-of-the-art performance center. And the first action before you today is for pedestrian easements for 2 areas along Boston Wharf Road. I'll now turn it over to Amy to walk through the project.
Good morning, Amy Frange. Jody covered most of this. The only thing I might add is that the project's scheduled to break ground in August of this year and will be complete in mid-2024. Will, do you want to walk through the plans?
Sorry, I just wanted to unmute. All right, so, all right, sorry. So proposing specific repairs on Congress Street and Boston Wharf Road. For the specific repairs, it's being coordinated with an overall roadway project.
Sorry, Will, I think this is the pedestrian easement.
Oh, the pedestrian easement, I apologize.
Yeah.
So this is the pedestrian easement plan. There's only a small corner where we need to make sure that we have 8 feet that's being provided overall, but obviously part of that's extending onto the private way. One thing I would note is that a portion of this is on L3, so we'll be submitting separate easements for parcel L5 and L3 to extend where we need to provide that 8 feet, where there's going to be a small bump in the curb to provide parking. But that's really the extent of the pedestrian easement that is required on this project.
Thank you, William. Any questions or comments by fellow commission members? Comments by PSC staff or members of the audience?
None.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Seaport L5 title holder LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in Boston Wharf Road as read into the record by the chair.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item on the agenda, public hearing number 3 on a petition by Seaport L5 title holder LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, traffic signal infrastructure, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, planters, landscaping, street furniture, bike racks, storm drain infrastructure, irrigation infrastructure, bollards, driveway curb cuts, and wayfinding signage. This is all shown on Boston Wharf Road on its southeasterly side at address number 1 through 27 northeast of Congress Street, and on Congress Street, southeast of Boston Wharf Road. This was introduced under new business on April 29th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, Congress Street, Boston Wharf Road 1 through 27, Boston Wharf Road, South Boston, 4 sheets, dated May 12, 2021.
Sure. So as I was just getting into, so for L5, we're setting the curb based on
Excuse me, William, you need to introduce yourself because this is a separate public hearing.
Understood. Will Schrafer with Niche Engineering, civil engineer for the project, presenting the specific repair plan. So this is Congress Street. We are setting the curb based on where it needs to be for the roadway project, and constructing everything in board of that. So there's 360 linear feet of specific repairs along Congress Street. Understood that Congress Street is currently under MassDOT jurisdiction, but it's going to be shifting to Boston ownership based on our understanding in the near future. So we're presenting these as if this is owned by the City of Boston. Proposing new cement concrete sidewalk, pervious pavers. There's going to be a bike station, 4 street trees that are going in, as well as pedestrian ramps at the corner. So this is, we've been over the past 2 weeks coordinating with BTD and BPDA based on our comments. So this plan is reflective of the current state of coordination. I think there are a few items that we're coordinating with both BTD and BPDA. So reflective of that, we've shifted the location of the bike station closer to the intersection with Boston Wharf and Congress to provide better access for it, and kind of flipped that with the street trees and parking area that we are providing. There's going to be a mid-block bump out, but that at this point is going to be built as with a full curb reveal rather than a ramp. The ramp itself would actually be constructed as part of the roadway project. So we'll be doing the bump out that you see in the mid-block on Congress there, but that will be finished as a pedestrian ramp with bollards, depressed curb, and detectable warning surface as part of the roadway project when that does come through, providing well over 8 feet of pedestrian sidewalk throughout on Congress. And as part of coordination with the BPDA, we have widened the access to the elevated walkway that's along Boston Wharf from 7.5 feet to 8.5 feet on its access from Congress. So shifting to the Boston Wharf Road plans, portion of this site is in a flood zone, so we wanted to pursue a resilient design that elevated that really as much as it could above the floodplain to target future sea level rise conditions. So we've raised all the retail entrances along Boston Wharf Road to 1725, which is about 9 inches above the current floodway. So you have the separated elevated walkway along with the provided public way access, and there's access to that elevated walkway as mentioned from Congress Street. There's also a ramp down on Boston Wharf towards the north end that connects back with the public way. Providing landscape beds in the separation between that elevated walkway and the public way, as well as stairs that would also provide direct access to the storefronts that are in there, and small trees that would be able to survive in the landscape beds that are there up against the building as they are. This is where the pedestrian easement is being proposed on the west corner of the building, where we need to provide the minimum of 8 feet. As part of coordination with BTD, we had a portion of the pickup drop-off along the north end of this that will be fully built out when L3 comes through, included on the specific repair plans. We expanded that by an additional 40 feet to accommodate 2 potential extra parking / pickup drop-off spaces along there. And have modified the locations of a few light poles to accommodate changes in the landscape beds and stairs and recessed doors at the building to provide at least 6 feet of clear space between the door swings and the edge of the sidewalk / stairs to accommodate comments from the BPDA on providing that amount of clear space up there. Generally, it's about 6.2 feet in width, but we have modified the design of the doors and the overall landscape beds and stairs to accommodate a minimum of 6 feet everywhere. And that is the extent of the specific repairs that are being proposed on this project, reflective of our latest coordination with BTD and BPDA.
Thank you, William. At this point, are there any comments by fellow commission members?
We would just like to thank the team for incorporating that second accessible route near the intersection. We appreciate their receptiveness to that suggestion.
Thank you, Ms. Young, for your comments. Any further comments? Sorry.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Farah. I just had a general comment. I was just curious where we were in the site plan review process for Boston Water and Sewer.
So our initial submission has been returned with comments. We returned a new submission with responses to those comments and additional documentation from the MEP this week. So be moving forward with the site plan approval process from there.
Okay, thank you.
William, will any of those comments impact the plans that you have put forth in front of this commission today?
No, largely the comments are about that we're proposing a rainwater reuse system as part of the building, so it's.
So it's neutral.
What's that?
It is neutral. It's not going to impact.
No, will not impact.
Thank you, William. Any further comments by commission members? Amy Brand, sorry, Ms. Brand, what is the status of the maintenance agreement for all of this good stuff?
I think, Jody, you have been back and forth with Chung.
Yeah, we'll be submitting them shortly this week.
It's going to be a separate amendment, though, right? To the LMI, master LMI.
Yes, that's right. We are coordinating with the city regarding an update to the master LMI.
Thank you. Mr. Laming, any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
Mr. Tom Reddy would like to speak. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Para. Just a question with regard to accommodation for cyclists along Congress Street. I wasn't able to see how that was going to be done. I know I've seen the TAPA for Boston Wharf Road, and it's not obvious to me how cyclist traffic is accommodated on Congress Street.
Right now, there are no dedicated bike lanes planned for Congress Street.
So the plan is to mix them in with traffic?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and we think that's appropriate?
We've done several studies on how you could add bike lanes to Congress Street. There's a city project where there might be BRT on Congress Street. I don't think we wanted to commit to anything on Congress Street. So right now, Boston Wharf Road is really where we're focusing our major bike lane improvements on.
So the city assumes that people riding bikes down Congress Street through the Gateway Project are going to stop at Boston Wharf Road and they're not going to continue. So we're going to provide an unsafe, a less safe as they head down towards those stairs in the plaza, the attraction point for Seaport Square. It just doesn't appear as though it's frankly well thought out. So that's my comments, Para. I'll follow it up in writing. Thank you.
Tom, give me a second because your comments are a little bit interesting in the sense of that. So Ms. Cordin from BDD, Amy, do you want to respond to Mr. Reddy's thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially that we're trying to figure out Congress Street. And so I think that it's more that I don't think we're ready to answer Congress Street because we're fitting it together. We have the Public Works project that's further up, and there's other pieces of this that we're trying to understand, inclusive of the bus and how it interplays with everything else. So I just don't know that we're ready. Not that we don't think that bikes should be on Congress Street. I just don't think that it's that we're at a point where we could successfully figure out what would be here that would be future-proof.
So I'm aware, Amy, of BRT up on Summer. I'm not aware of a BRT project on Congress. In fact, I thought the last discussion I had with Matt Moran on it was the city wasn't anticipating BRT on Congress. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really just that the conversation with Summer and that bus lane and all of the bus movements through here is still open, right? Like we're still in that conversation. So it's just that we don't want to approve anything that would put anything in the way of future possibilities. So I think in the future, there's probably a need for cycle infrastructure up here. I just don't know that we know where or what that should look like.
It becomes complicated, as you guys all know, with the on and off ramps onto I-90 as it approaches, those intersections. I get that. It's just confusing as to why we wouldn't be thinking about, vehicles speed down here anticipating getting on and off the highway, just like they do along Atlantic Avenue and in the downtown area. So a well thought through approach really is needed here to provide safe passageway for cyclists, right? I think we'd all agree.
Yeah, one thing I would also add is that it was kind of alluded to in the beginning of this, but we're also doing a bunch of there's some jurisdictional issues out here, and there's some streets that are in MassDOT control that are coming to the city. So it's really also that our ability to make, kind of firm decisions and stuff on the future of Congress Street is kind of when it becomes ours, right? Like right now, we can't really declare anything required on a street that's not ours, but we do know that it's going to become ours, and we are thinking about its future.
Yeah, thanks. And I appreciate that, Amy. I've had my share of discussions with MassDOT as it relates, in Massport, as it relates to Northern Avenue. So I understand. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Perry.
Tom, thank you and appreciate your comments. Scott, appreciate your feedback. Any further comments by members of the audience?
Yes, Mr. Jeffrey Ferris. Go ahead, Mr. Ferris.
Ask him if you missed it. Hello. Hey, thank you. I would concur with Tom Reedy's comments that there needs to be a bike accommodation here. It looks like I meant to come for the Columbus Avenue discussion, and we have the same issue there where a project went forward without bike accommodation and saying, oh, we're going to do that later. But if the city's committed to a complete streets program, you need to have a complete plans program, not say we're going to do that later. So I agree wholeheartedly that there should be some, with Tom, there needs to be better bike accommodation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It's always good to see you and hear your concerns as you well articulate. But I think I'm confident to say that the city forces and the city departments are equally minded in understanding that truly a multimodal transportation system. It is just an issue of timing these efforts and integrating the best use of our roadways. And I believe Ms. Cording responded to your similar sentiments as mentioned by Mr. Reddy. Thank you, Jeffrey. Any further comments by members of the audience?
Nobody in the audience. I will mention, just the record should show that this is actually on a co-petition by Seaport Square Development Company, LLC. Just a matter of housekeeping.
Thank you, Don. Seeing no further or hearing no further comments, I would like to get a motion regarding public hearing number 3.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Seaport L5 Title Holder LLC and Seaport Square Developer LLC. Did I get that right, Todd? All right. For the making of specific repairs in Boston Wharf Road and Congress Street is read into the record by the chair.
Second.
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 All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Next item on today's agenda, public hearing number 4 on a petition by Seaport L5 Title Holder LLC for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a canopy over a portion of the sidewalk within Boston Wharf Road, a public way, South Boston, located at the easterly corner of its intersection with Congress Street, generally at addresses number 1 through 27. This was shown under new business on April 29, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division License Plan, Boston Wharf Road and Congress Street, 1 through 27, Boston Wharf Road, Seaport District, one sheet dated March 2021.
So this is the canopy license plan being proposed in front of you. It's really just at the corner of...
William, if you could...
Sorry, this is Will Strafer with Niche Engineering.
Thank you.
So this is the canopy license project. It's really just at the corner of Congress Street and Boston Wharf Road where the property line itself is rounded. So we're proposing a small extension in that area for the canopy line as it goes around that corner. That is the extent of the canopy license that we're requesting on this project.
Thank you, William. Comments by commission members? Hearing none. Comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience? At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 4.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Seaport L5 Title Holder LLC for the granting of a projection license in Boston Wharf Road as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Next item, public hearing number 5 on a petition by Seaport L5 Title Holder LLC for the granting of an earth retention license for the installation of a temporary earth support system within the following public ways in South Boston, Boston Wharf Road on its southeasterly side at address numbers 1 through 27, northeast of Congress Street on its northeasterly side, southeast of Boston Wharf Road. This was brought under new business on April 29, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Temporary Earth Retention Plan, Boston Wharf Road and Congress Street, Boston, one sheet dated April 28, 2021.
So this is Will Schrafer with Niche presenting this plan. As you see in front of you, this is the temporary earth retention plan with sections along Boston Wharf Road and Congress Street showing the temporary supportive excavation that would extend into both roadways. The tiebacks shown there are temporary and would be detentioned and abandoned in place after work is completed. As part of coordination for this, there's going to be a video inspection of a BWSC drain main that is going to be included on our plans and as part of the site plan approval. But otherwise, generally, that is the extent of the plans and the comments that we have received on this process.
Thank you, William. Comments by commission members? Hearing none. Comments by PSC staff and all members of this audience?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you again, Todd. Just a quick question with regard to groundwater, the groundwater trust and whether the well monitors that are in place along Congress Street is sufficient for this parcel. I don't know if that's been looked at.
Thank you, Tom. Normally, these plans are sent towards the Boston Groundwater Trust. Mr. Lining, could you fill in the blanks?
I believe that there are a number of water monitoring wells in this general area. I would imagine that they're not going to be impacted by this project. I would have to defer to the Groundwater Trust as to whether additional wells are needed in this area, but I'm happy to check with Christian Simonelli and check back with the commission after the fact.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reddy, it is normally our process where all these plans do go up to the Groundwater Trust, and if they feel the need for the inclusion of any additional wells, they do let the PSC staff know. So that's what normally happens, and Mr. Lining will make sure, I suppose, that that process was followed on this occasion, and if they are needed, they will be included, and I'm confident that the petitioner will take the necessary steps to install any additional monitoring wells. Is that safe for me to say, Ms. Brand?
Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Tom,
Yeah, I just wasn't sure within the process itself when it is, when it occurs prior to or after or in conjunction with, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. It's always good to hear you. Any further comments by members of our today's audience?
No, none.
Wonderful. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Seaport L5 Title Holder LLC for the granting of an earth retention license in Boston Wharf Road and Congress Street as read into the record by the chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes. That concludes the public hearing segment of our today's agenda. Now we shall move to the new business portion of today's hearings. New business item number 1, Gurney Street, Tremont Street, Station Street, Roxbury, route of location on a petition by Eversource Energy.
Good morning, Dominic Rinaldi with the BSC Group on behalf of Eversource Energy, and I believe there are a couple of Eversource folks on the line as well. If they are, I'll let them introduce themselves real quick. I couldn't see the whole list.
Hi, this is Allison Klein. I'm the underground transmission engineer on the project from Eversource.
And okay, that would seem to be it. All right. The project involves grant a location for a underground conduit and wiring to install a reverse current switch. If I may present, I do have a plan. If that's all right.
Please go ahead. We do need to see something going on.
Yep. Is that up now?
Go ahead, Dominic.
So on the plan, we just updated the plan to show the proposed line in red and the existing curb lines in blue. To just orient you, the project north is roughly the top right corner of the plan. Down at this end, south end of the project is Tremont Street, and Gurney Street runs roughly south to north to Station Street. There's also an intersection here, which is weirdly enough also Gurney Street. Down at the south end of the project is the Roxbury Crossing T station, located right here, if you can see my cursor. The project basically involves installing a bonding manhole at the south end in Tremont Street, crossing, roughly perpendicular to Tremont Street into Gurney, installation of another pole manhole for cable friction and tension purposes about here, continuing down Gurney Street past the intersection where we'll switch over to the west side of the street, install a reverse current switch, which will be located in a small metal above ground enclosure in the sidewalk between two street trees, and then continuing back along the west side of Gurney Street into Station Street and connecting to an existing MBTA manhole in Station Street. From a profile view, you can see again in red, starting left to right on Tremont Street and the bonding manhole, running, generally speaking, about 3 feet below grade, except where we have to dip below other various existing utilities, coming to the pole manhole, the reverse current switch above grade, and then ultimately connecting back into that MBTA manhole. Through the review process, the line has shifted a little bit here and there, but ultimately one of the big drivers was agreement with Boston Water and Sewer to maintain a minimum of 3 foot horizontal separation where we roughly parallel their drain, sewer, or water lines, and then an 18-inch minimum vertical separation everywhere we have to cross their lines, which is generally what we're trying to maintain with other utilities as well. The project would be looking to start and go in the ground basically as soon as possible. It's getting late in the spring to call it spring, so we'll call it early summer, and should take roughly, the estimate is 3 weeks to a month to complete. We will be preparing, we actually have prepared some traffic management plans that we will be submitting to BTD for their review and approval, but just as a sort of preview of that, it would involve effectively two motions to cross, 2 setups to cross Tremont Street, and the southern end of Gurney Street here, where you can see we're roughly in the middle of the street, which is really because this is the congested portion of the street when it comes to existing utilities. We'd be looking to actually close down that portion of Gurney and detour folks on Tremont around to Parker Street, which is right up here, and back on through this connection on Gurney. And then ultimately, when we pass this intersection and can sort of hug the western edge, we can go to we can reopen the street and go to 2 lanes of controlled traffic on Gurney. Actually, it's 1 lane because Gurney's a 1-way. through there. I'd open it to any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Dominic. Any questions by commission members regarding this petition? Hearing none. Comments by PIC staff?
None.
Any members of today's audience? Seeing none, we will mark you up for 2 weeks. That would be May 27th.
Perfect.
Wonderful. That
All right.
concludes-
Thank you all very much.
That concludes today's business of today's agenda. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? All in favor, please say aye.
All right?
It passes. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe day. Bye now.